What's up, family? This is Marseille, aka the Property Pastor, here with Kingdom Legacy Builders, and I want to thank you for tuning in to today's video. I want to thank you for checking out the channel. Our mission here with Kingdom Legacy Builders is to help everyday people like you and me to build a lasting legacy for their children and their children's children. We use wealth building principles, we use real estate investing principles, and we are here to just teach you and help you along the way. Whether or not you're trying to buy your first property or if you're buying your 15th or whatever the case might be, we're here to add value to you and to add value to one another. And today I wanted to give you guys an update on my road to financial independence. So I wanted to start this new series where every single month I'm going to kind of give you guys a preview, or give you guys a review rather, of what's going on in my business, the deals that I'm looking at, how I'm raising private money, what I have in store, what I've offered on, and then how my portfolio is doing. So this is actually going to be the first video, but every single month we're going to start dropping new content to kind of give you just a snapshot on this road. Now, I wanted to do this series because since 2017, I have been on a journey, and that journey has been to achieve financial independence. And for me, financial independence is basically about $10,000 per month in passive income. That's income, after all expenses. That's not gross. That's net income that I'm able to achieve. So that's what my goal is. And right now, I'm up to 11 properties. So since 2017, by the grace of God, I've just been adding properties every year to continue to grow my portfolio. Now, before I go into the review, if you haven't done so already, please make sure you hit that subscribe button. Please make sure you hit that like button, and then drop your comments. By subscribing to the channel, you're going to get tuned into new content every single week. You're going to be able to comment. You're going to be able to ask your questions and all of those kind of things. So make sure you hit that subscribe button, and then also make sure you share this video with somebody who could benefit from it as well. So I wanted to kind of give you guys a quick recap of where things are for me in my business as of today. So this is June, and in the month of June, currently I have 11 properties under my belt. And like I said, I've been doing this since 2017, just methodically adding properties, as I come across them. Every time I get a chance to buy a new asset, I try to acquire that asset. So in that, my portfolio is mixed up of a mixture of small multifamily. So I have two quadplex units. I have 2 duplexes, in multiple single-family houses. So a lot of my portfolio, in some of those single-family houses, I actually rent out by the room. So I own, I think it's 4 of those. So it's a mixed bag, but I diversify across my portfolio in a multitude of different ways. So 11 properties so far as of today, and I've actually got another property coming up under contract that I'll talk about here in a minute. As far as, and I'm still working. So I'm still working my W-2 job. I work as an engineering manager here at a local company in Hampton, Virginia. And also I'm a pastor of a local church as well. So I'm doing those 3 things, and a full-time dad, husband, father, all that good stuff, right? So, but I've been able to continually work on real estate investing as my side. We have like 1 vacancy that we're trying to fill, but we've actually filled up 2 vacancies throughout this past month. And across those 11 properties, there's actually 27 doors. So I told you there's a mixture of multifamily, there's some rooming houses, and then there's some single family in there as well. I started out my portfolio primarily with small multifamily. I do love small multifamily. Unfortunately, in my market, there's not an abundance of those kind of houses. So I've been doing more diversification. And if you want to see kind of the pros and cons, you can check out my video that talks about some of these benefits of single family investing versus multifamily investing. And then also some of my videos about doing rooming houses as well. So the portfolio is doing really well. I'm really happy about the way that things are going right now in the midst. So I've been pretty fortunate through COVID-19, in that my business wasn't impacted, in a very negative way. We did have a couple of vacancies that came about, but for the most part, we came through COVID relatively well. So I am very grateful for that. So what's going on in terms of trying to grow? Now, every year, like I said, I'm up to 11 properties, and this year is the year of scaling, right? So now in my business, I'm actually starting to scale my business where I can acquire properties faster. And I'm going to show you a little bit as I talk about the private money raising and things like that. But this year is a growth year for me. So far this year, I've purchased 3 new properties. Here is June, and I've got another one that will be going into contract this week. So I'll be at 4 properties, which is actually more than I've ever purchased so far in my investing career. And I think that I believe in it, before the year is over, I'll probably be at 7 or 8. So as you start to scale, you can grow faster. And I'm going to show you how when I start talking about the private money section. So in terms of offers, so in the month of June, I basically offered on 2 different deals. The first deal was a duplex that was in my market, and the seller is a little bit reluctant. So the seller actually responded to one of my deal machine mailers. So basically, I sent postcards to them and a picture of their house, and then they called me back. And essentially, when they talked to me, they said, "Yeah, I got a lot of people who've reached out to me about the house," which tells me that in my market there is intense competition. So that seller is like, "Well, I'm kind of thinking about selling, but I really wanted to feel out, what I could get for the property," which to me tells me they're not very motivated. So I did make an offer on the house. I offered multiple options. I did a balloon finance offer with seller financing. I did a full seller finance offer. I did a cash offer, and then I did a conventional finance offer. And the reason I gave so many different offers is because in the course of talking, the seller was very concerned about capital gains. So they didn't want to pay capital gains taxes. So I gave them options that could actually benefit that way. So we'll see what happens on that. When we do next month's video, I'll let you know what happens on that one. The second offer that I put in was for a single family home down in North Carolina. So I live in Virginia. So this is actually going to be my first property that's out of state. So because it's so intensely competitive where I live, some of my wholesalers are starting to bring me deals in other states. Now I'm looking at this property. It's pretty much turnkey. There's a long-term tenant in place. I don't like the inherent tenants so much, but I'm willing to take that chance on this particular property. The cash flow is where it needs to be. The numbers are really good. It's got a 25% cash on cash return, and for a single family home, that's phenomenal. So I will be buying into a lot of equity. So we're signing documents and getting the contract finalized now. So by next month's video, that'll be a part of the portfolio. That'll be number 12. So we are growing as I would like to be, and my wholesalers are still bringing me deals that I can evaluate and look at and continue to grow. All right, let's talk a little bit about capital. One of the biggest barriers to getting into real estate investing is having money. And most folks don't have, 20% of a $150,000 house just laying around, to buy that first property, let alone enough to continue to buy over time. But one of the things that I've been blessed to do is, utilize a line of credit to start buying property. So I didn't have to go and save up a ton of money. Basically, you guys, if you haven't heard my story, basically, me and my father built my house, and in building it, I had a ton of equity. So I decided to put that equity to work, put a home equity line of credit on my home, and in doing so, I was able to go and buy properties. Now, what's going to happen is, down the road, all of the income I'm making before I retire, I'll just pay off my HELOC. When I go and I do a bird deal or I pull out cash and put it back on the property, my HELOC gets paid off down to nothing. So I'm going to do a video all about that strategy so that you can understand how it works. But that's what I've used to build my portfolio. But in order to scale, everybody runs out of money at some point. Right? In terms of using your own money, you will run out. So you have to start using what we call OPM. And the bank is not going to, they're going to stop borrowing you money too. If you're borrowing, money in your name, you're only going to be able to borrow anywhere from 4 to 10, be able to put 4 or 10 loans in your own name. And then on the commercial side, it gets very expensive as well, right? Typically you have to put a 25% down payment on any asset, and your interest rates are higher in the commercial space. So how do you work around those things? What I do in my business is I raise money. So I raise money for new deals. And basically what I do is I allow people to become a bank themselves. And most folks that are working, so most people who have their money in Wells Fargo or Bank of America, you're getting maybe 0.25% on that money. And what the bank is doing, these guys are geniuses, right? They're taking your money and paying you 0.25% and then turning around and loaning it back out anywhere from 3.5%, 4.5%, 5%, someone's upwards to 6% depending on the loan type, and they're making a killing. Right? But while you and I are actually upside down, because 0.25 doesn't even beat the cost of inflation. So what I've been doing with folks is, when people recognize what I do as an investor, I tell them like, hey, we can set you up with a self-directed IRA, and then you can, generate returns of, 8%, sometimes 10% by loaning money to me. Now, I don't mind paying those higher rates because it doesn't impact my credit, because I don't have to go through all of the headaches of dealing with the bank through underwriting and all that kind of stuff. I get access to capital that I can go and reinvest. So I've been doing that for the past 2 or 3 years, and it's actually helped me to scale my business. So this month, I actually set up 2 new sources of private funds. So one source was just a longtime friend, and we've been hanging out and whatnot, and he's like, yeah, I've got this money over here from a job I left. It's just sitting in this IRA account. And it's not really doing much. So he talked to me and said, hey, what can you do? And I said, well, I can set you up with a self-directed IRA. We can do a promissory note, right? So we actually just set up one for an additional $30,000. So that's nice because it gives me another $30K. That's a house, basically. That's a down payment, or that's a part of a rehab project. But the other part this month, I actually set up with one of my sellers, a property that I just refinanced after a bird deal. During the refinance, I went back to him and was like, hey, now that you're getting this payout, how would you be willing to become a private lender? So we talked about it, and the course of it, he said, yeah, I think that is a good idea, because instead of him parking his money into a bank at 0.25%, he can loan it to me, and he's back. But real estate is what's generating those returns for him, and he can see the asset, right? And he's getting guaranteed money back. And as folks start to get older, they get worried about the stock market. Some folks have lived through the stock market crash and saw during the Great Recession when they had big 401ks and the value just tanked on those 401ks. So people are leery as they get older in retirement years about keeping their money tied up into stocks and bonds. So in comes real estate, and then we create a win-win. So actually and we're going through the final negotiations, but we're looking at anywhere from 40 to 50,000. So I've added from a private money source an additional 70,000, right? So on top of all of my other private money lenders, we're able to grow the capital base to do further investing by 70,000. Then on top of it, though, taking advantage of the rates with the increased appraisal values on homes, I went ahead and extended the line of credit that I have with my bank. So I haven't done that in a while. So I set this one, the one I was using back in, I think it was like 2017, 2016. So we went ahead and just looked at the new appraisal, and the bank will give you a certain amount of money based on what your house appraises for. Once they subtract your first mortgage and then pay off my previous HELOC, now I've got another $100,000 added on to my existing HELOC. So in this month, we added about $170,000 of liquid money that I can go and buy a house. I can be a cash buyer. What it does is just gives me great flexibility. So when my wholesaler comes and says, hey, Marseille, I got this deal, I can go and be the first one to the table. I can do a cash offer, or I can go and work with a private money lender. Doesn't really matter. I've got more options that I can scale and grow the business. And that's why I've been able to get properties so much faster this year. And then let's talk about projects. So the projects that I've got going on right now, I've got 2 active rehabs going on. So property number 11 and property number 12 were single family homes. We actually got some walkthroughs. You can see the link to those videos. Got a few walkthroughs on what those projects are. But I've got 2 active rehabs going on right now. And these are just cosmetic rehabs where we're going in, we're doing flooring, new paint, lighting, ceiling fans, just cosmetic type stuff, kitchen upgrades, countertops, knobs, just kind of giving properties a facelift. And then we're going to go and turn around, and I may flip maybe one of them, but most likely I'm going to do seller financing on these properties and do what we call a wrap mortgage. And what that allows me to do is kind of step away from being a quote-unquote landlord, and basically I have a tenant buyer who's going to take better care of the property. They're going to be responsible for their maintenance, and then I'm getting that price markup. So basically I've got my underlying loan, and then they pay a certain difference, and then I get to keep what we call the spread, and they're buying the house instead of renting it, so I don't have to worry about a lot of the common headaches that we run into as landlords out here. So I'm really excited about those 2 projects. They should be wrapping up. One will wrap up towards the end of the month, and the second one will wrap up into next month. Those will become cash flowing assets as well. So right now I've got a few holding costs going on with those projects, but I've also got a ton of new capital that's been infused in the system, and we're going to put that to work. So the first will be property number 12. We're going to put some capital work there. And then also I'm negotiating. I did forget to tell you guys I am negotiating on a duplex, and then also we're negotiating on a duplex and a triplex. So this is a package deal that I'm looking at. And the cool part about this deal is that this is actually the same seller that I bought my first property from. So the first property I bought was a quad. A wholesaler brought it to me. I purchased the property, but I built a relationship with the seller. And because I built that relationship, they in turn sold me another property. They're like, yeah, we're getting older. We're trying to liquidate our portfolio. What do you think? Do you want to buy it? I said, yeah, absolutely. So I bought another house from them. So I bought 2 of them. And now they're getting towards the latter part, some of their quote unquote better properties that they've held on for a long time. And they told me, they said, Marseille, we want to deal with you. We know you, we trust you. You're first in line. So I am negotiating on those as well. The time frame is still kind of up in the air, but they've got a total of 3 properties that I'm going to be grabbing from them, in the next, hopefully the next 6 months, This we're looking at as a package deal, a duplex and a triplex, and then they actually have a 20-unit apartment building. So y'all pray for me that I get that 20-unit apartment building at a great price, at seller financing and all that kind of stuff. That's one of my things I'm praying for constantly. So I am excited about that one, and I can't wait to be able to get it. So there you have it. That's the portfolio. That's what things look like in the month of June. God has been so good. I am so grateful for this journey. So grateful for being able to just my kids see me out here being an entrepreneur while juggling a job, while juggling ministry. I'm just grateful for that opportunity and just the favor that God has placed in my life. So I really hope that this has been an inspiration to somebody who's looking and saying, how do you do it? Trust me, it's doable. It is totally doable. I'm living proof. I'm a living testimony of the fact that just give it time, work on it little by little. You'll get there. Don't compare yourself to other people. You know, that is comparison is a thief of joy. Don't compare yourself to other people. Find your own path, go your own way, and just keep grinding at it. You will get there. You know, you will definitely get there. So make sure that you like and subscribe to the channel. If you got questions for me, drop them in the comment section. If you got comments, make sure you drop them in the comment section as well. Again, make sure you subscribe to the channel, like this video, share it with somebody who needs to hear it, and I pray it will be a blessing to you and to all of those who will hear it as well. Thank you so much for tuning in. Like I said, we're going to be dropping this update video at least once a month, so you guys can kind of see how my portfolio is going and how God is allowing me to achieve that goal of financial independence. If I can do it, you can do it. So I'm cheering for you. I'm praying for you. I wish nothing but God's best upon you. Thanks for tuning in. Can't wait to see you guys again soon. This has been Marseille, aka the Property Pastor. Love you guys.